Not wanting to get too deeply into metaphysics, I think it would be useful to explore the concept of nihilism from the two forms it takes with human beings, the male and the female form. Now, it takes two forms because of the nature of the beast, that is, of the human being. The binary logic, which is used and has only been questioned recently, that is dualism, which is also founded on a basic mechanical, biological factor. That is the way the synaptic nerves work, the on-off switch. From this on-off switch, all consciousness is derived. So it's natural that what would develop would be a binary form of thinking: good, bad, evil, good, threat, non-threat, male, female, and so on. This would be the first evolutionary step from a single cell to a multi-cell organism, which is reliant on two specialized forms of reproductive roles, the male and the female, each with its own psychology, its own role. Let us begin with the basic principle. The basic principle is that of lack, that is the absence of an absolute. And I challenge anybody to come up with one absolute. Anyone will do. And this absence is what characterizes the human being, human nature, the human condition. And we feel this lack as need. That is, when we feel need or suffering being the extreme form of need, what we're feeling is our own existence, our own existence of lacking the absolute. And this could be a positive or a negative depending on how you look at things. First of all, it's a positive because it makes us possible. Without this lack, there would be no need, no necessity for life. Life would be impossible or improbable. The negative is that we experience living existence as a constant struggle, as a constant suffering, constant emptiness, which requires fulfillment. So if we take the scientific model of the Big Bang, you can assume that the Big Bang is the closest approach to a singularity, that is the absolute, yet it never attains it. The opposite side of that coin would be the Big Crunch. That is, where the Big Bang is an explosion, the Big Crunch would be an implosion of time-space. And I would say that the Big Bang is not a singularity, a beginning, or an end, but it's an ongoing event. That is, it's happening right now. It never stops and never ceases. The universe is a continuing loop. So the masculine and the feminine psychology is developed in relation to this absence, the absence of the absolute. Now, for the male, the absence results in a towards thingness, or as Nietzsche put it, a towards power. Schopenhauer called it towards life. That is, a towards the absolute being. Popular metaphors for this is thingness, or here, or now, or particle, or in mathematics, the number one. In religion, it takes on the form of God. In politics, it takes on the form of order. The feminine side of this is a towards no thingness or nothingness. That is the absolute no being. In Buddhism, it takes the form of emptiness, the void, chaos, and like I said, emptiness or disorder. Something to keep in mind is, since language is based on binary logic, that is, on the construct of absolutes, since the absolute is missing, it's difficult to explain or to express this absence using a mode of expression which uses it as a self-evident. That is like with language. This is one of the limitations of language. A way around this is to use language in artistic form, the way it was intended. Language is an art form. We don't mean things literally, but figuratively. Everything is a metaphor of that absence. That's why the ancients considered language an art form. And that's why philosophers have been characterized as a hybrid, a combination of scientist and artist. If you lack this mental flexibility to grasp this, why this is so, then philosophy of thinking is not for you. You're an absolutist thinker. That is, you think in binary codes, 1 and 0, and you cannot use these codes to express like an artist uses colors to express reality as it is, that is fluid, dynamic, rather than static. Now in politics, this has an interesting effect, and this is what interests most people. That is, the male is usually attracted to order, and if it's not its own order, then it is attracted to the feminine absolute in order to build their order. That is, the female becomes a means to an end. That's why a lot of males who find themselves in a system that suppresses them and they feel powerless within dream of anarchy, that is, absolute disorder. Why? Because through this disorder they hope they could build an order all their own. Because a male always wants to build his own order, not to subdue or subjugate himself to the order of another male. The female, on the other hand, is attracted to order, that is authority, anything that exudes power, that exudes certainty, that is superior to all other forms of order. One more thing to keep in mind is disordering, or the increase in entropy, as it is known, is a natural phenomenon. It requires no effort. It happens whether we want it or we pursue it or not. That's why females, being the representations of chaos and a tendency towards disorder, are also the representations of nature. The male, on the other hand, is a resistance to this entropy. That is, he is the ordering element within the disordering of nature. And that's why in politics, when liberals call themselves progressive and revolutionary, this is bullshit. In fact, they are the conservatives, because they want to conserve what happens naturally, that is, increase of entropy, whereas the so-called conservatives are really the rebels, because they strive to create an ideal to arrest this increase in entropy, to establish order in the disordering. So they are the element of rebellion against the world. We see how sometimes with nihilism, everything is turned on its head. Up becomes down, down becomes up, master becomes slave, slave becomes master. That's the whole essence of nihilism, this overturning of what is normal, what is natural. And of course, it is a form of nihilism which uses seductive methods to become attractive to a majority, establish control over them, while at the same time selling itself as individuality or freedom. So we can see in what I just said why males are countercultural, why they're antagonistic usually towards the system, and why females usually go along. They wish for peace, they assimilate easily. To bring it back to the sexual game, so a male wants to establish order, the males that are forced to subjugate themselves to this order resent this. They want to overturn it, so they're destructive, they're rebellious. They dream of anarchy as a form of destroying this order in order to establish their own order. Females just settle for whatever order. They're attracted to it naturally, whatever order exists. Their natural tendency is towards chaos, towards disorder. Of course, we must always keep in mind that the masculine and the feminine energies coexist within all individuals, all human beings. And the degree in which they exist within each particular establishes their masculinity or their femininity. Now, for a male born biologically a male, there is a higher percentage that he will be inclined towards the masculine, although this is not a certainty, especially in these times with the sheltering of the system, which promotes mutations. We see an increase in biological males who think, behave in very feminine ways. The same goes for females. The females are, by their biology, inclined towards the feminine psychology. Yet this is not a guarantee. For the same reasons as mentioned before, females might come about which are more masculine than their own kind, or than some males. Of course, the degree to which an individual is male, biological male, accompanied with masculine attributes, or biologically female, accompanied with feminine biological attributes, establishes their fitness within the reproductive game. This is what fitness means. Fitness is always related to reproduction, at least in evolution theory. Now, in mimetics, this reproduction ceases to be about genetics, passing on your genes, and it becomes more about passing on your memes, that is, your ideas, your principles, your dogma. So we see here the masculine tendency in politics, where it tries to seed as many minds as it can with its ideals, and through this it reproduces itself in other minds. It dominates these minds and uses them as a means to an end. They become his females, as it were. This is why I call this war a war like no other. It has stopped being about subjugating other tribes, bloodlines, so as to pass on your own genes. Well, it hasn't totally ceased to be about that, but it has ceased to be primarily about that. And as it has become more about passing on your principles, your dogma, your ideals. That is your conception of the absolute. Since the absolute is missing, is absent, it can take any form. It can be imagined as anything, by the very fact that it is absent. And this is where the whole conflict comes. This conflict between ideals. It becomes a conflict between competing assessments and projections of what this absence is, or should be. This is what this war is about. So that's it for now. Ta-ta.